I'm going crazy. 무뎌져.
Sitting on a stool in front of a bar, he was drinking a half-filled glass of sunset rum. His eyes were only looking at the glass while his mind was somewhere else. His body was stiff, and at a place behind him many youngsters, adults, were dancing to air-blasting music that had no effect on him. Just then a middle-aged man sat beside him. He looked at the younger one who was far deep in his thoughts. "People call me Michael, but you can call me Mike," the middle-aged man spoke, taking the attention of the younger one, who looked at him confused. "I'm talking to you, young man." The younger one sighed. "Jungkook, Jungkook," saying he gulped on the liquor he was holding in his hand. "Sunset rum. Damn, the alcohol quantity is showing your inside pain. What's up, man?" Pressing the hand on Chung's shoulder, he asked. Chung knew Mike was just a random stranger interested in his not-so-interested life. Chung finished the drink to disgrace the hesitation inside him, hopping out in a warm place. He spoke. "She is the reason, but when past is too bad to even trust in myself. What if I hurt her because of what happened to me in the past?" I poured some liquor in his glass and Chung's glass too. What do they call these feelings? Yes, love. He chuckled sarcastically while Chung looked at him. "Have you ever loved someone?" As Chung asked this question, the middle-aged man gulped down the liquor. "I did. You know, that was her magic. She could still see the sunset even in those darkest days." "Was?" Mike nodded. Chung didn't ask much about his life. "But I don't believe in magic." Chung's word made the elder one shake his head. "You will. When you see her, the magic of joy flies to you from heaven." Chung felt his words were too deep to understand, but he wasn't lying. "When you look at her, you will feel happiness. Even after a hectic day of you will find yourself relaxing just after looking at her face. You will only give your trust and loyalty to her, and in return she will give you everything you will ask for. And the beautiful magic she will spread around you, only you will be able to see it. And the people around you will be living their routine life, but for you everything will be fresh and new." Mike's word rang in his ears. He kept drinking and talking a little bit with Mike, and after some time he left the place. The next day, Jung entered his office and was greeted by every other employee, but his eyes were in the search of someone else. Not finding the person on his way, he just decided to enter his office cabin and start the work. But as he sat on his chair, after removing his coat, a knock was heard on the office door. "Come in," he spoke calmly. The door opened and the person stepped in. His eyes sparkled with a beam of joy watching her figure in front of him, and he remembered Mike's words. "When you look at her, you will feel happiness." He realized that the time she entered his life was so smoothly just like how she entered his cabin. It felt for her like those raindrops fall non-stop and increase with the time, but he didn't realize that those drops had made an ocean now. "Good morning, Mr. Jones." Her voice made him come out of the cage of his thought. He cleared his throat. "Good morning, Miss Wang." Knowing that a light smile plastered on her face. She is a bubbly type girl, working hard in the office and making her parents proud. She kept some file in front of him. "Miss Jones, I completed my work by checking them. Now you only have to sign them, but you can recheck them if you want to." At her words, Chung shook his head. "No, it's okay. I trust you on my will." Chung has his poker face on. My smile became more wide hearing his words about trusting her. "That's all for now, Mr. John, but if you have some work you can call me." Saying this, he was about to go, but her foot slipped and she closed her eyes, ready to feel embarrassed, but after a few seconds she didn't feel hurt or anything, and she opened her eyes. Her eyes widened with a gasp because she was sitting on her boss's lap, who had a grin on his face and controlling his laugh. "Mr. John, I'm sorry, You looked at your feet. You were wearing a high heel, which we weren't used to wearing." Jung noticed it. "You are wearing a heel?" he asked, all confused, because shoes are more comfortable type girl. You wiggled with your fingers, all forgetting where you were sitting. Jung lighted so he didn't say a word. "Mom made me wear them." You spoke with a pout. "Why?" You looked at him with your doe eyes. "She said that I'll get married soon, so I need to act like a woman, that's why." Jung gulped, hearing the marriage word. "You will get married?" he asked, tilting his head. You half out, nodding your head. "I have to. Mom, Dad said this is my perfect right to marry, and they will find a perfect man for me." He saw your cheeks turning pink with shyness. How cute, he thought, but shook his head. What about any relationship, like you don't have a boyfriend or crush?" He intentionally asked it Even after knowing she didn't have a boyfriend, one shocker had no actually. I have always focused on my study and parents that I only have a crush on those TV actors, nothing much. Maybe no one finds me interesting. You shrug your shoulder, damn how much he wished to yell and say how much he loves you. Don't underestimate yourself, Miss Bayan. Not everyone has a reach to diamond. Mostly people only get tempted by artificial rocks, ignoring the unpolished diamond. You felt your cheeks burning at his words, but just then you realized where you're sitting and why you're sitting so close to him. You quickly stood up with a jump, making him flinch. I'm sorry, Mr. Jun. I forgot. I'm sorry. Saying this, you ran out of his office all embarrassed. As you left, he burst out laughing, but then he remembered. You will believe in magic when you will see her. The magic of joy flies to you from heaven. He was right. You really are magician of my joy. But then he remembered marriage. Damn, what should I do now? He scratched his head, and just then he heard a ding sound. Taking his phone, he opened the screen and suddenly an idea struck his mind. I can Google it. Chung opened Google Chrome and searched, how can I make my secretary fall in love with me and stop her from falling for an unknown person? He clicked the search button and started to read the instruction, nodding his head up and down and poking his cheek. At lunchtime, you were standing in your office beside the printing machine. You were also hungry, but the work was important. Just then, someone knocked at your office door. Yes, come in. You said, but didn't look back, thinking some random employee would be there to ask for your help. But reproducing, can I help? You flinched, hearing his voice. Turning, you saw your boss with a nod, so-called grin. What happened to him, you thought, but then realized what he just said and laughed. Mr. Jones, the printing machine doesn't produce; it's printing. He secretly rolled his eyes as he didn't understand his pickup line. But he didn't give up. Are you interested in managing my account? Because I am all ready to give you its access. He proudly said, but Vine just blinked her eyes. But Miss Jones, doesn't our accountant handle the office accounts and yours too? Jung mentally faced palm, nodding his head. Let's get out from under this fluorescent lighting and find somewhere more comfortable. You tilted your head, not understanding him. I mean, let's have lunch together. Let's go. He took the paper from your hand and placed it on the table. But Miss Jones, no, Mr. Jones. I mean, no work. Let's go. He held your hand in his and dragged you out with him. You looked at his hand holding yours, and suddenly you felt butterflies inside you and having goosebumps on your body. Your tummy making flames until he stopped. You bumped in his back. You sit here. I'll bring lunch for us. Saying this, he went away without hearing you. You just went to sit there. You looked at your surroundings and other employees were eyeing you weirdly. They must have seen boss holding your hand. You looked at your hand which he was holding a while ago. Gulping, you just sat there. After a few minutes, he came back with some milkshake and snacks. You start to eat the lunch, but from time to time you are feeling that Mr. John is staring at you. But now you look up, you'll be looking away. Is lunch tasty? He suddenly asked, making you nod your head, but then he chuckled and put his finger at his lips, telling you something. What? He again gestured at you, but fooled you, didn't understand. So he leaned into your side and placed his thumb at the side of your lip, wiping the sauce away. Your cheeks blushed in embarrassment. Oh, it's perfect. You started to eat, but you were biting your lip because of his and your clothing. You smelled his cologne, and that was a floral fruity fragrance. His manly fragrance can make you go crazy, but you didn't thought much about it. After eating, you went to do your work, and Jung went inside his office. The office time was finished now. Jung was sitting waiting for you to finish your work. As he saw you outside of his office, he came out of his office after you. You entered the elevator and he did too. Oh, Mr. Jones, you are still in the office. He cleared his throat and nodded. His right hand was in his pants pocket and the other one was holding his laptop bag. Miss Ryan, will you leave by your own car or? No, actually I will take a cab. He made an old face and nodded. Then why don't I give you a ride on my car to your home? Oh no, it's okay, I'll just take a cab. I know, but I'm your boss. I also have responsibilities to take care of my employees. He said, making useless excuses, but somehow you agreed. Both sat in the car and he was about to drive an seatbelt. He gestured you to wear it, but you were struggling with it because how hard it was to buckle it. Chung chuckled and leaned to you. Your eyes widened and you backed off with your thumping heart. His face just in front of yours. You forgot how to blink as you guys caught his milky skin. Gulping a lump down, you breathed heavily. As he buckled the belt, he looked at you, was frozen in place. He stared back at you and forgot to back off. You both were having an unending staring competition when you found Rang Chung jumped back to his seat looking away and you quickly picked up the call but realized you cut it instead of answering it with hurriedness. Mom is calling. He nodded, still embarrassed. You noticed a pink tint on his cheeks. He stopped the car in front of your home. Thanks, Mrs. Jones. You said without looking at him and opened the door, but before you got up, you felt a grip on your wrist. You looked back at him. You can call me Jungkookff. When we are outside of office, you gave him a small smile with a nod. He slowly left your wrist and you went out waving your hand at him. He waved back and saw you going inside the house. He huffed, shaking his head at his own childish action and started the car. After some days, Jung was still trying his best to take your attention, on his words to make you fall for him, and his actions were making you feel weird, as you can't figure the name of those feelings. He had always been a great CEO, a great boss, but suddenly he started to behave more of it, as he always takes the chance to give you a ride after office, and 2 days ago he even saved you from a spider. Yeah, a spider. He unintentionally hugged him in front of other office employees, and that day was labeled as your most embarrassing day. And now you were sitting in the office meeting room, having a meeting with Jungkook's business shareholders. But something was weird. By weird, mean Mr. John always do stared at you, but his stares are not uncomfortable or like that. But today one of his shareholders is continuously eyeing you, and you literally want to get up and leave this room. You were sitting beside Jung, so he felt your awkward expression and uneasiness. He saw your eyes, which were looking at the middle-aged man who was eyeing you. Jung gritted his teeth and made a fist. That old man was biting his lip, disgustingly look at you. Jung was getting red out of anger now. You buttoned your most upper button too, which was open for air to pass. And now that old man has crossed the limits and Jung can't tolerate it more. He banged the table, getting up, catching the man by his collar. How dare you to look at my secretary like this? Jung growled at him. You got up and went to him while everyone in the meeting room was shocked. Mr. Jung, you tried to take his attention with your shaky voice. Jung, look at your actions. You are fighting with me for a little employee. Jung punched his face as other ran to him to catch Jungkook. That old man got up. She is not a little employee but a woman. And someone's daughter, you buster. She came here to work, not to have your filthy gaze. Jung was so angry like fire. You didn't saw him this furious before. You ran to stand beside him and held his hand. He stopped and looked at you. Your eyes are teary. Mr. Jung, please. Jung poked his tongue inside his cheek, glaring back at the man. Don't you dare to show me your face again, or before Jung could say more, that man and his team left. Jung gripped your wrist and went to his office. Mr. Jung. He entered his office and banged the door closed. As he left your wrist, you held it. Your wrist was a little red. Jung sighed and his eyes softened. I'm sorry. You looked at his face, which was showing guilt. No, it's okay, Mr. Jung. I should be thankful to you. But Jung shook his head. No. I should have been careful. I hurted you. You were confused by sudden weird behavior. Your eyes widened when he cupped his face and started to cry. Mr. Jung, what happened? You tried to grip his hand and calm him. No. Don't touch me. I hurted you. No, you didn't. No, I'm not worth of anything. I can't love anyone. I hurt everyone. You were getting worried. You shook him by his shoulder, but he was not looking at you. So you don't have any other choice. You cupped his face and touched your lips with his. His eyes went big as you felt a salty taste on his lips because he was crying. You got embarrassed and was about to back off, but suddenly his hand tightly gripped your neck and kissed you. You were shocked, but eventually gave in, kissing him back. He smiled and you felt it. After breaking them, he leaned his forehead on yours and whispered underneath his breath, I look like a mess. He chuckled in his raspy, cracking voice. No, you look perfect. You also whispered, but he heard it and captured your lips in his again. After like 2 minutes, he broke them. Damn, your magic is working on me vigorously and I can't control it. You were confused by his words. He hugged you, keeping his head on your shoulder. You hugged him back. You were all aware of what you did and you didn't regret a second of it. From that, you were getting a hint of him liking you, but today, what he did for you was more than anything. That meeting was more of a dream for him and it can benefit him on some other level, but he prioritized you on it. And guess what? You decided whom you're going to marry. You talk like your magic was so less to take me in your spell of love. His movement stopped, realizing what he said. He backed off with frowned eyebrows. But what? Well, the unstoppable magic of love, bringing joy to us. Would you like to give me permission to take you under the spell of my magic? Tilting your head, you said those lines, making his heart flutter. The permission is granted. She laughed and hugged him. Damn, that's the most beautiful feeling ever, to be loved by someone that will look like a dream that we never want to end soon. Then let me clear it. It's not a dream, it's a chance, Jungkook. Then let me taste those lips again. As he was about to lean in, you stopped in and whispered, "You have to meet my parents now and impress them." He held your hand, kissing it. "Then I should start to Google it, how to impress my soon-to-be in-laws." He laughed and you laughed with him, pecking his cheek. "I found my love, so beautiful and sweet." Jung felt Mike's word being true by looking at your beautiful smile. She will only give you trust and loyalty to her, and in return she will give you her everything you will ask for.
저희가 기회가 되면은 저기 지구 반대편 브라질이든 어디든 그냥 날아갈 테니까요.